to learn how to import a photo from Bridge into Photoshop, much like we did yesterday, but this photo is already saved in a folder. So I'm going to go and retrieve it. I have it saved under Pictures. It's under La Divina Cafe. I'm going to double click it and it'll open up here in Photoshop. Okay? And notice you can have more than one picture in Photoshop. So if I wanted to bring in more than one picture from Bridge, I can just select the first one, hold down Shift, double click, and that'll import all those 3 images in Photoshop. Now the very first thing I'm going to show you is to create a duplicate layer in your background. Now this here is your layers panel. You'll need to know that because every time I refer to it, you're going to need to know where layers panel is, and it's the panel with all of your layers in it. They'll accumulate more and more as we add more effects to this picture. Now you'll always have this background layer here, and it's locked, and that's for a good reason. You want to keep this layer just like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and right click that layer, go duplicate layer. This should be the first thing you do in Photoshop. Duplicate the background as transform, because I'm going to be showing you how to use your transform tool in this layer. So I'm going to click OK. There I have a new layer. Now to get your transform tool, I'm going to go up here to Edit, go to Free Transform. Now you can see you have 2 layers here. You have your background layer and the new layer you created that's called Transform. So this photo doesn't lose its original dimensions, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and that'll keep it exactly the same, just make it a little smaller. I'm going to move it about right here. I'm going to go back up to Edit and go to Transform. Then I'm going to go to Warp. Okay, and you see these little handles right here at the end of all of these dividing lines. Do y'all recognize these lines? These are separated into the rules of 3. These kind of give you guides here in Photoshop in case you didn't have them whenever you're actually taking the picture. So I'm going to select one of these handles after I select Warped in the Transform menu. I'm going to bring these handles down. I can bring them to the side. I can bring them outward. Okay. Same thing here. I can just squeeze it. I can roll it out more. Okay, so y'all can have a little fun with that one. If you look up here, there's warp and it says custom. You can turn your warp into an arc and make it look like it's arced. You can fisheye it. You do a flag type of warp. Okay, so any one of these will work. Now if I don't like any of those that I just tried, say I want to undo something, pressing Command Z in Photoshop will just take you a step backwards. But then you press Command Z and it'll redo what you undid. So you just keep going back and forth if you press Command Z. You can press Option Command Z, and that'll take you a step backwards. However, in this case, you'll want to press the circle here with the line through it to undo any changes you may have made in Transform. So once I have that effect, I can click this plus sign if I want to keep it, and it'll save that effect. And notice you'll see it here in your history. Now you can see where I free transformed it and where I warped it. I can go back to the last step, which is my free transform, before I did anything. And then my next move will be what is saved over this warp that I have just added to it. So if I went to transform, went to warp, and decided to use a shell lower, save that. That'll automatically change my last warp option and put in this new one. That's it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the masking tool you have here in Photoshop.